What's up, guys? Garrett Crawford back on the channel again. 2021 wasn't too great, wasn't too hot, but here we are, 2022. I'm driven, inspired, and our first video of the year is going to be a Yu-Gi-Oh video. It's going to be actually a little bit of a history lesson. I'm going to do a deck profile over my 2005 GOAT format deck, GOAT Control. This format was known for its crazy boss monsters, its anime vibe, and the sheer competitiveness for its early birth in the competitive scene. So here we are, GOAT Control 2005. Alright, and here we are. It is time for the deck profile. This is a deck that I actually played when I was really young. I actually didn't have the deck complete until after everything was banned. I had no clue what a ban list was, and all I knew was I was getting my butt stomped by this deck every weekend when I went to my locals. So I am happy to show you guys my iteration of GOAT Control. So first up for our boss monsters, we played one BLS. This guy was a staple in every single deck out there. You easily could banish a light and a dark in the format. He could attack twice. He also could banish a monster on the field. 3,000 attack, 2,500 defense is pretty crazy in this format, and the ability to attack twice. So Black Luster Soldier was a for sure staple and win con of the deck. Next up, my build actually ran two Knight Parshats. I chose these two because I liked the draw energy, or synergy, sorry, and the fact that it could attack into a GOAT token, deal 1,900 damage, and be able to draw you a card. Also, he was only a 5-star monster, so easy tribute fodder. You could easily get out a 1,900 beater, which in most cases in this format, 1,900 was pretty hard to deal with unless you were playing some kind of normal monster that said otherwise, or in case you were running up against Beat Down or Beast Down. The last boss monster of the deck is one Jinzo. This guy was kind of another staple of the deck and most decks of the format, due to the fact that it could just turn the entire trap system off for both decks and simplify the board state a little bit. So this guy was a crazy good piece back in the GOAT format. So the next cards that we're going to talk about are all level 4 monsters, and this is kind of where like the beef and the heart of your deck normally lied. These are a lot of staples. We have one Asura Priest. This guy could literally clear a board. You could just summon him, attack into every single one of your opponent's monsters, and then since he was a fairy type, you could just put him back into your hand. There was plenty of other times where his light attribute would come in handy, and I would just discard him to the graveyard so that way we could summon out our Black Luster Soldier. But the fact that he was a 1,700 beater and GOAT tokens were a thing, you could easily just smack over all 4 and then attack with the rest of your board and proceed to kill your opponent. Blade Knight was another interesting one. I know I need to get the secret rare. I have to get the rarity bump. But no, Blade Knight was a pretty cool card back in the day. If you were limited on resources and you were top decking, he was a great top deck, being a level 4 2000 beater. And then he could stop flip effect monsters, which this format was ridden with them. There was tons of flip effect monsters. You had Magician of Faith, you had Night Assailant, you had the Jars with Morphing and Cyber Jar and Fiber Jar. There was tons and tons of things that Blade Knight could actually handle. Breaker the Magical Warrior. This guy was literally everywhere. He was a 1,900 beater when he was normal summoned to the board. He would get a spell counter, and you could remove that spell counter to pop a spell or trap card in your opponent's back row. This card was a staple. Also, the Dark Attribute, really handy. If I didn't need to summon him, ditch him to the graveyard, get out that BLS. Next up, we have one Exarion Universe. Now, some people kind of ridicule saying that this isn't a GOAT card. I remember this card being around when I was younger, so I put it in the deck. This card is crazy. It can also do piercing damage to GOAT tokens by cutting its attack in half, I want to say. Or no, decreasing it by a certain amount. And then, yeah, 1,800 beater, dark monster. He just was a toolbox in his own. We have one DD Warrior Lady. DD Warrior Lady was super good. Could just set her face down. Your opponent swings into her, and then you get rid of their big boss monster. That was the greatest thing about DD Warrior Lady, is she was also a light, and she could just remove things. A really good spot removal card for back in the day. And then we have Tribe Infecting Virus. Tribe Infecting Virus was the bananas back in the day. You could just discard a card, call a type, and destroy all types. So again, get rid of the goat tokens on the field. If there was spellcasters on your opponent's side of the board, such as like Chaos Sorcerers, because Chaos Turbo was a thing, you could just wipe the board with that. Warrior, anything. Tribe Infecting Virus was there to handle your problems. And then the last two level 4s is 2 copies of Tsukiyomi. Tsukiyomi was great because it also had synergies inside the deck that I'll explain later once we get to the extra deck, but it also could put your opponent's monsters face down. I found this pretty good against most matchups. This card is probably weakest against the 2005 version of Monarchs. But Tsukiyomi was great. Dark Monster could put stuff face down, a lot of flip effect monsters, so this card came in handy for reutilizing those flip effects over and over and over again. Next up, we have all of our flip monsters. I first start out by playing 1 Morphing Jar. I decided not to play Cyber Jar because a lot of my stuff can't be special summoned from the deck, and a lot of my targets I don't really want to just float out onto the board like that. So Morphing Jar was a good way for me to ditch everything I needed to the graveyard that I didn't want to use at the time and resupply my hand. Also while leaving my opponent at a disadvantage in some cases. So yeah, Morphing Jar was a great card, especially with Tsukiyomi. You could just put it back to face down, defense position, and then reflip it once more. After that, we have Magical Merchant. Magical Merchant was a really good card because it could pick up or Excavate now. It could pick up cards from the top of your deck until you reach a spell or trap card. In most cases, this would hit you one of your powerful spell cards that we're about to get into. The last 2 flip effect monsters are 2 Magician of Faith. I chose not to play Knight Assailant in this version, just because I think my spell and trap lineup and the outs that I had were suitable enough for everything. Now, granted, nowadays GOAT format is a little bit different in terms of deck choices and just theory around deck building. So Knight Assailant could be good in certain scenarios, but 2 Magician of Faith was great. This card can just grab back any spell card, reutilize your Gracefuls, your Greeds, whatever you were trying to do. And then on top of that, the level 1s actually come up for something else later on, which we will show you in the spell lineup. For the last level 1 monster, we do have a copy of Sinister Serpent. The fact that you could put this card back into your hand over and over again every standby phase and use it for a discard outlet was amazing. You could just set this card face down and have him be a chump blocker, get him back, do it again, get him back, do it again. It was quite hilarious watching your opponent suffer as they couldn't touch you because of this little green snake. And our last 2 monsters of the deck are 1 copy of Spirit Reaper. Spirit Reaper was a wall. If this guy was in defense position and your opponent doesn't have some sort of removal, they can't destroy it by battle, and if it does by chance get a chance to attack directly, I can discard cards out of my opponent's hands, which can come up. But mostly he was there for the wall. And 1 Sangan. Sangan would literally search you most of your deck. All aside from, let's see, Tribe Infecting Virus, Zerion Universe, Breaker, Blade Knight, Asura, and all of your big guys. It would search you all your face down, flip effect monsters, it would search you your Spirit Reaper, or anything else you really needed. So that's it for the monsters. Now we'll move on to the traps, or not traps, the spell cards. So I played double Book of Moon. Book of Moon was a crazy good card in this format. Being able to put your flip effect monsters back to face down defense position at the end phase of something, or whatever it may be. This was also just a great utility card because it could put yourself in a good position against your opponent if they were to try and attack you. Just put their monster face down and run it over. After that, we have all of the one-ofs besides this package right here. We have triple Scapegoat. This card could literally just do all sorts of things for you. It could put a big wall up in front of your opponent, so then they have to whittle down your board while you gain supplies and card advantage. It could also serve as a way to utilize Metamorphosis. Metamorphosis was a crazy broken card back in the day. I can't believe this card was ever printed. And it will never come off the ban list, unfortunately. But this card was crazy. The fact that you could distribute one of the GOAT tokens and then special summon one of your level 1's fusions from the extra deck that we'll get into. We'll show you guys the utility of this card later on in the extra deck. But this combo right here was just amazing. So then we have all of our one-ofs. We have Premature Burial, Monster Reborn for the time because it was banned. Snatch Steel because Change of Heart was banned. I did only play one Nobleman of Crossout back then. I don't know why. Nowadays, I would totally play 2 of, and then Psy, or I think there was only 2 legal in the format, actually. So, I would definitely play 2 of this card back in the day, because all the flip effect monsters that you could hit. And Dekoichi, which I didn't play in this deck, it was a great one to hit off of that. Okay, then we got Heavy MST. Again, these cards are, I mean, pretty self-explanatory. Heavy Storm, just wipe your opponent's back row, and then MST was kind of more of like a, you wanted to really hold on to this card until it was a real good choice to destroy something. And then you have the powerful 3, don't mind my black rare Pot of Greed. Delinquent Duo, and Graceful Charity. We need to get an upgrade rarity on this bad boy, so if you guys have an upgrade rarity for me in anything, I mean anything, secret, ulti, ultra, whatever you can find it, please comment down below, let me know. I need an upgrade on this. But yeah, these cards really had no explanation. Delinquent Duo could just discard 2 cards out of your opponent's hand, draw 3, discard 2, and draw 2. I mean, these cards were the pinnacle of best cards in the format. And then for our trap cards, we have a couple one-ofs. We have Torrential, Mirror Force, Ring of Destruction, and Phoenix Wing Wind Blast. I think this card was really underrated, actually. It could just do a lot of things for you. It could reset your opponent's turn, which was hilarious. They couldn't, they just draw into something that they couldn't use anyway, so super, super great. And the rest are just pretty self-explanatory in terms of trap cards for the format. And then 2 Sakuretsu Armor. This was like our Deep Prison back then, except it would destroy instead of banish. So yeah, pretty simple trap lineup. I didn't play any like Trap Dust Shoot main deck or anything like that. I sided. I had a pretty healthy sideboard, which I do not have right now. This is all just a casual deck now. So anyway, the Fusion deck, which was unlimited at the time, but I only picked 15 choices because I like to be, I guess, consistent. So anyway. 3,000 Eyes Restrict. This was what you would hit off of Metamorphosis with your Scapegoats, your level 1 monsters, anything like that. This guy was able to basically enter the board, absorb something, and then what you could do is you could normal summon Tsukiyomi here, and you would be able to put this monster face down. The monster equipped to it would then go to the graveyard, and then you could flip 1,000 Eyes Restrict back up, absorb something again, to your 1,000 Eyes Restrict, and Tsukiyomi just bounces back to the hand. So, 1,000 Eyes Restrict and Tsukiyomi were a lovely thing back then. 1,000 Eyes Restrict would also make it to where your opponents can't attack, they can't change battle positions. This card was pretty crazy. You would get to a really solidified board state, and then, or allow your opponent to get their biggest creature out, kind of slow them down or stop them off for a turn, summon this thing out, absorb their biggest guy, and then now make them have to beat through this 1,000 Eyes Restrict, which was amazing. It was beautiful. This should be a Dark Fire or a Dark Flare Dragon or something like that. Dark Fire Dragon or something like that. It should be the level 4. I just don't have it. So yeah, we get this guy. I guess I could hit my Sangan with it if I really need to. So we got 2 Dark Balter, the Terrible. This guy is crazy hilarious. Whenever a normal spell card is activated, you can pay 1,000 life points and just negate it. And then monster that this card destroys, their effects are negated as a result of battle. So like things like a Giant Rat, Mystic Tomato, stuff like that. All of those things is what Dark Balter would take care of. Fiend Skull Dragon was another crazy one because it could negate any flip effect monster and then negate any trap effects that would target this card and destroy it. So another good situational card, but level 5, so you would hit your Air Knight Parshats, or better yet, you could steal your opponent's Air Knight Parshat and then tribute off theirs for your level 5 fusion monster. And then the last level 5 is Reaper of the Nightmare. It's literally just a bigger Spirit Reaper. That is literally it, except it's a level 5. So this one would be a funny one to tribute off your opponent's Air Knight Parshat if you're in a defensive state, and then just put him in defense and hope that your opponent can't get rid of him until you can get the cards you need. So 2 level 6s, this is usually what like Jinzo or something would be sacked off to. This thing can basically select up to 3 monsters from your opponent's graveyard and banish them. This could put your opponent in a situation where they can't banish for Chaos Sorcerer or BLS. I remember this card was super good because you would be able to like snatch steal one of their Chaos Sorcerers, banish another card on their side of the field, summon this guy out with Metamorphosis, and then when he gets in for battle damage, you'll be able to exile any kind of targets that he could use to rebuttal you next turn, whether it be all of his lights, all of his darks in the graveyard. We got 1 copy of Ryu Senshi. This guy basically can negate the effects of spell cards that target this card, and let's see here. As long as this card remains face up on the field, negate the effects of a normal trap card by paying 1,000 life points. So he's like the offhand to Dark Balter. This guy can just negate any spells by paying 1,000. This guy can just negate any traps by paying 1,000. And then he can also negate any effects that a spell card that targets this card and destroy it. So yeah, Ryu Senshi was another level 6 to basically pick up off of. And then my funny one, I like this one, was Elemental Hero Flame Wingman. This guy was super funny. So yeah, you'd bash over an opponent. If it was like say an Air Knight or something like that, they'd take 1900, and then I think he does piercing, right? No, he just deals damage equal to the amount of attack points that monster sent to the graveyard had. So yeah, he was just, I hardly ever go into this, but it is a funny one to go into, and it's kind of flashy. Reminds me of the anime duels. And then the last 2 targets are Gatlin Dragon. Basically what this thing will do is once per turn you can toss a coin 3 times and destroy as many monsters on the field as possible, but no more than the number of heads. So most of the time you would take control of your opponent's BLS, Metamorphosis. You could attempt to activate the ability, but most cases you were just attacking with this thing, and most of these things are dark or light, so they also kind of fuel your deck for synergies later on down the road. So yeah, guys, that was the GOAT format deck profile from 2005. I really hope you guys enjoyed this profile. Remember more in the future that you guys are going to see more and more of these old school decks from these different formats. I am trying to put together a like cross ban list cup, if you will, but not an online version of this like Lithium 2300 has done. That guy, by the way, if you haven't, go check out his channel. He has an amazing series called the Cross Ban List Cup that has inspired me to do my own version on my channel, but we are going to do paper copies of that. So we are going to do videos of me building each new deck and why I chose different choices for that era, and we're gonna basically showcase them all, get all of the guys from the council together, and we're gonna be doing a Battle City tournament over that. So stay in touch for the future. If you guys want to, please follow, like, subscribe. Check out my links in the bottom. I got TikTok. I have Facebook down there as well. Yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. It was my iteration of 2005 GOAT format. Yeah, we'll check it out later, I guess. Take it easy, guys.